And that image also shows that the walls we put up to protect ourselves are useless or potentially useless to God. God doesn't need our walls. He can give us better than we could ever create for ourselves. So there you go.
Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and a Bible. If you like the idea of a casual yet meaningful chat about the Bible, a couple of mates listening, something here could be good for you today.
Today is day 214, covering Isaiah 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. If you need a brief overview of those chapters, they're in the description. All right, me to kickstart the old episode today. So Isaiah 24, verse 5. The earth is defiled by its people. They have disobeyed the laws, violated the statutes, and broken the everlasting covenant. So I had said here that it's easy to see God's greatness on this earth, but it's also easy to see man's corruption. So where you see like the most populated places on earth quite often is where you see the most darkness, the most crime, the most just bad stuff, right? And it's just that interesting thing, isn't it? Like you can go into nature and it's paradise and you can literally be like, wow, this is how God intended it. Then you can go into like the inner city and you can see just the worst at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's just what popped up to me from that verse, just that dichotomy, as we call it in English.
Love that. A while since we had an Englishism. I saw that verse and I was tempted by it as well, but I feel like we've chatted about stuff like that before, and it's great to reiterate the same points because it's like, and it's such a good word to sum up. The earth is defiled.
Exactly.
It's just, oh man, it really hits home, doesn't it?
It does.
I then stepped into the very next verse all the way down, so it's like 6 all the way through to about 16 or so, because like we chatted about yesterday, a lot of Isaiah is about sort of a prophecy against this, that, and the other, woe to you, all that jargon. And it's essentially saying like a curse comes to consume the earth, people must bear their guilt, merrymakers grow, and the gaiety of the tambourines is stilled, noise of revelers is stopped, joy turns to gloom, like all this stuff. But then it goes in 14 to say, they raise their voices, they shout for joy. From the west they acclaim the Lord's majesty. To the east they give glory to the Lord, exalt the name of the Lord, etc., etc. From the ends of the earth we hear glory to the righteous one. All ends of the earth, ends, don't get on a circle, do you? On a sphere, so it must be ends, flat. But my point was not that. My point was like...
Have you become a flat earther? Is that what's happened here?
In the last like 5 minutes. Suddenly.
Yeah. Okay.
It was just all the bad stuff will happen, but there's still room for praise. It's just that we have to snap ourselves out of it sometimes and come back to that position of praise, but there is still time for praise.
Yeah, I reflect on that sometimes. It's like, there's a lot of bad that happens in life, but it's honestly not anywhere near as much as the good overall, right? Yeah. And like, everyone... Anyway, let's not, but there's so much to be grateful for, even in the darkest times, basically, I would say. And if you've got problems, obviously give them over to God as well, 100%. Don't listen to two idiot Brits that apparently are flat earthers now. Anyway, 24 verse 21. In that day, the Lord will punish the powers in the heavens above and the kings on the earth below. And I found that really interesting because it's actually talking about beings, entities in heaven also being punished, right? Made me think of Revelation, where about a third of the angels go rogue with Satan, and then I just went on a bit of an angel research bender, just finding out everything that's biblical about angels, and it was quite interesting, really, but we don't have time in this episode, sorry, so you'll have to do your own research on angels.
Oh, love it.
Little teaser.
Again, I was so close to writing down that verse for that exact point, so that's good.
It's just cheers, mate. It's just cool to like remember that it's not like God just created us and the animals are like, right, job done, see ya. There's this entire invisible realm that Paul talks about. He's like, God created everything visible and invisible. It's like, wait, what? There's all this invisible stuff that will become clear once we're in the next life.
Why don't you jump in with the next point? We have the same verse, but I was going to go...
No. I couldn't possibly do that to you twice. You gave me dibs first last time, so you got to do it.
Well, I might be going on for a little bit here. Isaiah 25:8, he will swallow up death forever. The sovereign Lord will wipe away the tears from all faces. And it's so I was on worship at church this morning, and before the meeting, the worship team and some of the prophecy team and that prayed beforehand. And a guy brought a reading through, and it was referring to Revelation, actually, in Revelation 21, verse 4 and 22, verse 4. Both reference, I'm going to pull it up. 21 verse 4, he will wipe away the tear from their eyes, and 22 4, they will see his face and his name will be on their foreheads. But essentially it was saying, like, the only thing better than when we see God is when God touches us, and he will wipe away the tear as a father wipes a thumb across the cheek of their crying child, kind of thing. And just the visualization of that, and like seeing God face to face, but then being touched by him in this gentle, caring, loving way, as if to say, they're there. And like kings flaunt their wealth and their power with their chariots and their horses, but the God we serve is just there, just to wipe the tears away from our eyes. It's like he cares for the little things. He doesn't care what we think of him. He cares for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. That's huge.
That's insane, dude. That's good.
That's definitely a big point, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's a massive point, and that's an incredible point. As you say, it's something that we can't conceptualize. It's just the power and grandeur of God, but at the same time, just his love and tenderness. It's like, it's insane. It's amazing. Mine was a bit more basic. I just said, yep, this is a great reminder of Jesus. So anyway. Just what he's did for us on the cross. So then going into 25 verse 12, my penultimate point, he will bring down your high fortified walls and lay them low. He will bring them down to the ground, to the very dust. So over time, and there's a few images of, actually, you know what, I'm just going to do both if that's right. So he can bring down walls for you in a way that no one else can. And these walls could be, you know, things that you've held bitterness about in your life forever. It could be addiction, it could be whatever. He can just level those walls and turn them to dust immediately, right? Over time, God can remove all your walls, and it's incredible, to get you closer to him and conform you to his image. But then later on in 27 verse 10, it talks about how the fortified city will stand desolate, and there'll be an abandoned settlement, forsaken like the wilderness, and there'll be calves grazing there and laying down and stripping the branches bare. So he can break down the walls, but he can also leave the walls stood up if he wants and just take you to a whole different place. And it's just a cool image. And it also, final thing I'll say is sometimes we put up walls to protect ourselves, right? And that image also shows that the walls we put up to protect ourselves are useless or potentially useless to God. God doesn't need our walls. He can give us better than we could ever create for ourselves. So there you go.
I have to rescind my first "that's good," because that's good.
I think we should do now "that's good" and then potentially just "that's better." So yeah, I'm glad you like that one, mate.
The thing about this whole podcast and the Bible is each bit can like resonate with a different person at a different time. Like we can do a very best point, but it's the stupid point that someone's like, "Holy smokes, that's really hit me," you know?
Right, 100%. Yeah. No, it's probably my favorite thing. Yeah, thanks, man.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to jump back a smidge then into Isaiah 26, verse 3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord is the rock eternal. And I had this highlighted or sort of underlined from a previous time, don't know when. But the thing that I sort of picked out this time is, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, not those who are going through like peaceful circumstances. Like it's peace despite the storm. It's peace regardless of what your physical and emotional well-being looks like. It's your focus, your minds are steadfast on him, therefore you will be at peace. So yeah, because I think sometimes it can be, oh yeah, if you become a Christian, life's easy. Nah, that ain't true at all. It's where we know we're going, where we set our hope and our identity, that is what brings us the peace.
100%, couldn't agree more. Well, that's everything we've got time for today. So tomorrow's readings are Isaiah 28, 29, 29, 30. One of you beautiful people, pick up your Bibles and get reading.
In the meantime, please consider liking and subscribing to Brits and the Bible on social media and stuff like that to help spread the word of God.
Love it.